Hello guys, welcome back to the quantity surveying workshop and to another video. In today's video, we're going to be treating how to calculate for the quantity of materials needed for our concrete. Meaning that in this video, we're going to be learning how to calculate for the quantity of our cement, sand, and our aggregate. So as you all know, concrete is made up of three materials: cement, sand, and aggregate. So to move further, you need to know what are the units that we are going to be basing this calculation of. So for our cement, we are going to be calculating the cement in bags. The sand would be in tons, as well as the aggregate. So the cement, we need to know how many bags of cement it will take us to make a certain grade of concrete in relation to the volume of concrete we've measured, and same applies to the tonnage for the sand and aggregate for the concrete. So in order to perform these tasks, there are three things you have to have in mind: the volume of the measured concrete, which is the volume that you've gotten after you finish measuring the task in your measurement sheet. So for example, if you are doing your column footing, any operation that requires concrete, whether it's your column footing, your foundation, your oversized concrete, lintels, column, whatever, as far as you've measured accurately the volume of the concrete in your drawings, then you can now move further. So after you've determined the volume of your measured concrete as per the operation that the concrete is being used, the next thing we'll now have to put in mind is to determine what the mass of the concrete will be. So we need to know what the mass of our measured concrete will be. Then the last thing we have to put in mind is the mixed ratio of the concrete. So you know that concrete comes in different grades, whether grade 20, grade 25. So each of these grades have their mixed ratio. So in this example, we're going to be using or assuming that the mixed ratio used was ratio 1:3:6, meaning that 1 part cement to 3 parts sand to 6 parts aggregate. So in order to determine what the mass of your concrete is, you are going to be using this formula. The mass of concrete is equal to the density multiplied by the volume. I repeat, the mass of concrete is equal to the density of the concrete multiplied by the measured volume of the concrete. So with this, we can now begin our calculation. So the first thing now we have to be putting in mind is the volume of our concrete. So for example, let me just be practical. Assuming that this operation, we're trying to determine the quantity of the materials used for our foundation, the concrete in our foundation, and in our taking off sheet or in our measurement, we measured the total volume of concrete that it was required to carry out our foundation, our concrete in foundation. So we're going to be assuming that we measure 16 meter cube. So we can now see that volume of concrete in foundation is equal to 16 meter cube, meaning that what we measured when we're doing our taking off was 16 meter cube. This is under assumption. So the next thing we now have to do is we have to find the mass of 16 meter cube of concrete. So like I said, we are going to be using the formula: mass of concrete is equal to density times volume. And we know that where the density of concrete is equal to what? 2,400 kilogram per meter cube. and then we already know what our volume is, which is 16 meter cube. So when we input our formula, we will now say therefore mass is equal to 2400 multiplied by 16 meter cube. Therefore the mass of 16 meter cube of concrete will be equal to 38,400 kg. So it means that the mass of 16 meter cube of concrete would be 38,400 kilograms. So the next thing we now have to do is to determine the individual masses of the cement, sand, and aggregate, which will form this total mass for our concrete. So it means that if we use our mix ratio 1:3:6, we can know what mass of cement is making this 38,400 kilograms, as well as the sand, as well as the aggregate. So the next thing we now need to do is to determine our ratios. So in order to determine our ratios, the first thing we're going to be doing now is to find the summation of the ratios 1:3:6. So 6 plus 3 plus 1 is equal to 10. So it means that to read this ratio now, we can now say 1 meter cube of cement, or 1 part of cement is going to make 10 parts of concrete. Or you can read it as 1 meter cube of cement will make 10 meter cube of concrete. 3 meter cube of sand will make 10 meter cube of concrete, and 6 meter cube of aggregate will make 10 meter cube of concrete. So the first thing is cement. So our ratio will now become 1:10. 1 divided by the summation of all the ratios. So the next ratio we're going to be doing is our sand. So our sand will be 3/10. And then lastly our aggregate, which will become 6/10. So this will be our ratios that we are going to be using. So the next thing now, we are going to be using these ratios to determine the individual masses of the materials. So first on our list is the cement. We know that the cement has a ratio of 1/10. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be using the formula mass of the concrete multiplied by the ratio. So to determine the individual masses, the first on our list will be for the cement. So for the cement, we know that the mass of concrete multiplied by the ratio for the for the cement. So we know that we've calculated our mass of concrete as 38,400 kg. So we'll now multiply it by 1/10, which is the ratio of our concrete. And that will be giving us when you do the arithmetic, we're going to be having 3,840 kg. So it means that for the total mass of our concrete, which is 38,400, cement is contributing 3,840 kg towards this our mass. This our total mass of concrete. So for our sand, we can now use the same method. Mass of concrete 38,400 kg multiplied by 3/10, which is our ratio for sand. So when you do the arithmetic, you are going to be having 11,520 kg. So we'll now do similarly for the aggregate. So 38,400 kg multiplied by 6/10, and that will be giving us 23,040 kg. kg. So if you want to know that you are correct, by the time you add these individual masses for the cement, sand and aggregate together, it is going to be giving you the total mass of the concrete that you've already calculated, which is what? 38,400 kg. Just try it and see. Add the individual masses of the aggregate, sand and the cement together. It will give you what? 38,400. That we've already calculated to be the mass for 16 meter cube concrete that we're assuming we measured. So the next thing now we're going to be doing is to determine the quantity of the materials. The first quantity of material is our cement, and we said that we're going to be finding the quantity of our cement in bags. So to find the bag of our cement, we now need to ask ourselves, what is the mass of one bag of cement? We know that a bag of cement is 50 kg. So in order to determine the number of bags we're going to be needing, we know our mass of cement as we've calculated our mass of cement as 3,840 kg. So we can now use the formula mass of cement divided by mass of a bag. So when we do that, the mass of cement we've calculated is 3,840 kg. So when we divide it by 50 kg, so when we divide it by 50 kg, which is the mass of a bag of cement, we're going to be having 76.8 bags. So it means that in order to make that particular grade of 16 meter cube of concrete, we are going to be needing approximately 77 bags. So you will now add your waste, maybe 5% of this 76.8 bags. Whatever you get is now give or take, or plus or minus, you are going to be needing to make that grade of that volume of concrete in that particular grade. So the next thing we're going to be working out for is our sand. So this sand, we're going to be measuring it in tons. So to measure our sand in tons, or to get the quantity of our sand in tons, we can now see the mass of sand in kg divided by 1,000, and that will be equals to what have we measured as our sand, as the mass of our sand. We measure the mass of our sand as the individual mass of our sand based upon that ratio 1:3:6 as 11,520 kg. So when you divide it by 1,000, you are going to be having 11.52 tons. So when you add the amount of percentage on waste, then you know how many tons you are going to be catering for. So the next thing you are going to be doing is for your aggregate. So our aggregate is also measured in tons. So we'll still use the same formula. The mass of our aggregate divided by 1,000. So we calculated the individual mass of our aggregate as 23,040 kilograms. So we're going to be dividing it by 1,000, and that will give me 23.04 tons of sand, of 23.04 tons of aggregate. So when you add a certain percentage for waste, then you will not know how much quantity of aggregate that you are going to be catering for. So we've come to the end of today's video, guys. I hope you derived adequate knowledge from this video. Please, if you did, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel, because it helps the channel grow. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.